This is a amplifier I brought home from Cash Converters, I think it is. It was on their junk table. It's a Marantz SR5000 unit, 70 RMS a channel apparently. Its issue is it starts up into protect mode, and I decided to pull it apart and have a bit of a look. I've taken out the amplifier unit, which is here, and I ohmed out the transistors and this channel here, which is one of the surround channels. Shows up with the transistors not matching any of the others. Had a bit of a look around and had to poke down here and sort of see where the issue is. One of these transistors is shorted out. By the looks of it, it's drawn a bunch of power and burnt out that resistor, and there's another one in there somewhere as well that's going a bit funny. But basically, yeah, this thing sucked a whole bunch of power through that channel. Burnt up these resistors here. So I've got the service manual for it, so I'll look these up shortly, find out what they are. But what I'm going to do now is clip the legs on this channel, not this bit here, just these two. Just clip the legs on it, plug it back in and see if it'll fire up. This is one of the surround channels, so it'll run quite happily without it. Well, I hope it will anyway. You know, it'll still be able to run off the front left, front right channels. So I'll do that and we'll see what happens. Okay, so what we've got somewhere. There we go. So I've got my little side cutters. I'm just going to cut the legs. Probably only one of these that's dead, but I'll replace the pair of them once I work out what they are. It'll be in the service guide anyway. Just get these legs out of the road, like so, just so they're not touching anything. Then I'll just plug it back in and see what happens. Now I've already tested the resistor here out. It's fine, but these other two down here that are burnt out, and I'll have to replace those when I got a chance. I'll worry about that when I get new transistors for it. But for now I'm just going to plug it in and see if it starts up. Alright, just plugged it back in. All the connections are back in. Let's see what happens. Alright, still in protect. Bastard. Alright. So, we couldn't get this to work previously after I cut the legs of the transistors off. So, I figured the protection circuit's still being triggered. So, I've got the service manual here. And what I've discovered, I traced out the protection pin, this one here, which is a common pin shared amongst the entire amplifier, and pretty much traced it back to this resistor here, which I ended up just cutting it, the connection to it, just to stop this from sending out the signal. I also hunted down the power pins that actually feed the plus and minus 50 odd volt to this amp circuit for this channel, and I've cut those as well just to stop power getting to the unit. What the issue is with this particular unit here is the two main output transistors are blown, but so are the two feeder transistors as well. These are what they call a Darlington pair, basically. These amplify the signal a little bit and then input it into the bigger transistors, and then output, well, that amplifies it and puts it out to the speakers. So what's happened is one of these have blown, which have taken these out, causing them to draw too much power. And the two burnt resistors are just basically fused links for these particular units. So what we've got, so we can get the light back on, should come up just a second. There we go. So on this particular board, just down in there, well, I think we went too far in. That resistor there, that one, we'll just cut the leg to that. That's the feed out to the protection circuit. I've also cut two of the traces that come over from that end of the board so that we no longer have power coming in. So that's allowed us to actually get it back up and running at least. So yeah, now this is the actual board layout for the amplifier board. So basically all these sections are copies of each other, more or less. The output transistors for the surround channels are actually different to the ones for the main channels, but not by much. So basically you've got these two here, they're the main output transistors. They're currently dead, they're short. And then you've got a link that goes over to here. Is it that one? Yeah, I think it's one of those anyway. One of these is, instead of being a link, is actually those 0.22 ohm resistors. So just replace those, that one there, and then there's another one for here, which is that link there. So replace that, and that's pretty much it. But we'll see how we go with it. I'll either replace them or just use it as a stereo amplifier. It seems quite happy to do so. I have plugged it in and tested it, and it seems to do the job quite well. One repaired, well, one now working amplifier, just needs a repair. It is a bit grubby. It's like it's been left out in the weather or something like that, but it's just dirty. It really is. It's an interesting design for this thing though. You've got basically everything is cards. They all come out of the main board, just with little edge connectors. You can undo all the screws at the back and just pull it out. This bottom board, that one, is the standby power supply and also the switch for the main transformer. So that one's, you've got to be really careful with because there's 240 volts sitting on the back of that right now. So don't touch that one. And then that one's your speaker output board, which I've checked. Oddly enough, with this amplifier's design, the black terminals for all the speakers actually go straight to ground. They're not BTL'd off the back of a pair of amp chips or anything like that. It's being run basically, I think, you wouldn't call it single-ended, but it's referenced from ground up. It's really quite bizarre, but that's just how they've done it. Interesting board design. But for something that was destined for the scrap heap, yeah, a couple of little nicks on it, and it's back up and running, even if it is just used as a stereo amp. We turn the power on. There we go, no more protect. So now we've got an output to everything. Now, the failure on this wasn't purely or really an amplifier failure. What's happened is this unit's been dropped. This back casing was caved in. So these two connectors here, which is the rear left connection, were shorted out, which inadvertently took out both the output drive chips and the two feeder chips. So now I can either leave it like this and just run it as a straight 2-channel amplifier, or I order the replacement parts and that'll get us back up and running. Now the replacement parts we need are those chips there. The 1492 and the 3856 are the driver pair, and the 1859 and the 4883 are the ones before the output transistors. So the bottom two feed the top two. The 4883 is still good in this unit, but I'll change it because you might as well. It's there anyway. You know, if one's failed, there's a good chance the other one may go anyway. So it's best just to replace the 4. Problem is, you're looking at about $36 to replace all 4, and then it'll be back up and running hopefully. Plus the 2 burnt transistors, 2 burnt resistors as well. They'll need to be changed because they're gone. But they're 0.22 ohm at a quarter watt or a half watt. So I'll just get another pack of those. That'll add $1 to the total. So $37 and a bit of research. We're good to go pretty much.